Yes, sir. All right. We back at it again. This is the Cruise Dynasty podcast. Ready to bring out some of that good content. These are right here. These are my favorite episodes. I always say we're either recapping, we're breaking down, we're gambling, or we're doing topics. And tonight is a topic. So we're going to hit a topic. And I got the Craft Man with me. What's going on, Craft Man?
What's up with you? You feeling any better? I heard you contracted the vid.
Man, got hit with that Rona hard. 2 or 3 days, I was fucked up, man. I was like just laying in bed, complaining my neck hurts. Shoot, my whole family got it. So my little girl, Diana, she's talking about her bones hurting.
You all right?
Yeah, man, we good. You know how it is. It's like I said earlier. I was like, maybe I should have worn my mask or my Ukraine shirt, or maybe I would have got maybe I would have got hit so hard, but you know,
Hey, all you got to do is wear a whole bunch of Falcons gear, and people just avoid the fuck out of you. No, nobody want to be around you.
I don't even care as a Falcons fan. Like, I hate on the Falcons too, man. It's because we got dumb fans. We got the dumbest fans. They bring that UGA stuff over there to the top, man, to the NFL. I'm like, you need to keep that shit down there with your college teams. C Swizzy, what's going on, man?
What up? You need to go get you some ivermectin, man. Go get you some of that horse medicine, bro. Help you out with the corona.
Oh Lord, I know, right? Some of those, what are they called? Monochloride. What are they called again? I can't even remember.
Mononucleoid.
I don't think that's right.
It is right.
It might be.
Chloride.
You're making words up out the top of your head. You don't know.
What did they say? Trump said that one time. Go just get you some chlorine or some detergent to start. They tried to make it look like he said that. Oh man, that's just so funny, man. Yeah, man, got corona. Oh shoot, I was even sick on it. My little girl's birthday. Turned 1 year old, man. Can't believe it. Old as fuck. But I don't even mind getting old now. It just is what it is. But yeah, man, hit the topic tonight. Seemed like, oh yeah, Chris, you know what? As I took a little diss on Georgia fans tonight, I should have never joined Twitter because I see these Clemson fans. I'm thinking, damn, we just as bad. They just ignorant as hell. I'm just like, sit your ass down, man. I get sick of their ass too, man. I get killed by Clemson fans.
I discredit every Clemson fan I see that stands up for DJU at this point. I discredit everything you say. Get the fuck out of here. That dude is trash. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
I tell
Dabo, why did you trust this man?
For 2 years.
You didn't see this for 2 years. You didn't see this. We have Klubnik back there. He fits the offense better to me. He plays more like Deshaun and all these players that we've won ships with. Play this dude,
man.
Not
Chris,
DJU.
It kills me, man, because I'll just say something simple like DJU is not the guy. Man, you ain't all in, man. You just blah blah blah. Like, your ass.
I'm not all in.
I'm like, damn, somebody got to be ejected around here. But yeah, man. Off our little Clemson spill. Cause tonight we just gonna hop in some dynasty rankings, not our dynasty rankings. I'm gonna take a look at some fantasy pros, some keep trade cuts, and we're just gonna play a little would you rather tonight. Would you rather have this guy? Would you rather have that guy? From the dynasty perspective, there's a few debates out there, and we just gonna kind of touch on some of them. We just gonna kind of look through them a little bit. Craftman, what you say, man?
This is gonna be a good episode right here. We're gonna cover a lot of stuff tonight, and it's gonna be a little opinionated. I feel like we agree on a lot of shit, but tonight there'll definitely be a little bit of little disagreements going on.
Oh, most definitely. We'll just start off from the quarterbacks. Is what I say. We'll hit the quarterbacks first. We'll go position by position. I don't know if we'll really hit tight ends too much because I feel like there's some pretty much agreement on tight ends. Like,
Well,
Let's just go ahead. Well, fuck you. Like you want? All right, quarterbacks. We'll just hit the quarterbacks first. We'll just hit these QBs. All right. The first debate, though, the first one is who's at number one, and it's Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. A lot of people say Josh Allen, but according to Fantasy Pros right here, they got Josh Allen 1, Patrick Mahomes 2. On Keep Trade Cut, let's see what they got. Let me just make sure. I want to say they got the same thing, though, but I don't want to talk out my ass. No, they got Patrick Mahomes 1, Josh Allen's 2. So even a debate between sites, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Keep Trade
Do
Cut.
you have your Superflex turned on? Are you looking at this Superflex? Because without Superflex, they do have Josh Allen above Patrick Mahomes.
On Fantasy
Keep
Pros?
trade cut. No, keep trade cut.
I don't know. I feel like it shouldn't matter because quarterbacks, it is what it is. Like, you know what I'm saying, Kraft man? Like, it shouldn't matter if Superflex is on for the quarterbacks if you're just looking at quarterbacks.
that shouldn't matter. I mean, it's Josh Allen anyway. Number one.
Chris,
Am I
you
right?
agree with that? Josh Allen?
I don't agree with that. I think it's Patrick Mahomes. I think Josh Allen just gives the ball away a lot. I mean, he throws a lot of interceptions. Patrick Mahomes is out here performing with a mop and a broom with all these people that are on his team. I mean, and he's just making this offense look good, putting up a bunch of points. I like Josh Allen. Josh Allen's clearly number 2, though, but right now I'm giving it to Pat.
Yeah, but
Okay, yeah.
with Josh Allen, though, even if he throws 20 picks in a year, that's only negative 20 points on the whole year. I mean, interceptions don't matter in fantasy. All about
That
them
negative
stats,
1
baby.
point, that negative 1 point in that one matchup can cost you the championship. That negative 1 point can cost you going to the playoff.
But Mahomes he's ugly, though.
He is ugly. I'll agree with that one. That's one thing we ain't gonna all agree on that motherfucker there. Hey, I'm gonna be honest, man. I was sitting in the car thinking about this one, and I was like, shit, man. It's Patrick Mahomes, and I ain't even gonna flinch. But the only thing that gets me that I could put Josh Allen above Patrick Mahomes is Josh Allen's situation maybe a little bit better as far as receiving wise. Because when I see Patrick Mahomes, this dude is, man, I don't know, man. This dude's doing the closest thing to a Tom Brady impersonation right now. This dude has hardly no wide receivers. This dude has hardly no running backs. I used to say Tom Brady was the best. This dude, Tom Brady, had no wide receivers. This dude had no running backs. I mean, I don't know, man. This dude, Patrick Mahomes, to me, I think he's number one. And the way I do it is if I was at a startup, I'm going to say a startup superflex draft. If I was in a startup superflex draft and I had the 101, I'm taking Patrick Mahomes. What say you, Kraft?
I'm taking Josh Allen. The rushing upside is a lot. You just get so much more rushing upside with Josh Allen. And from an NFL perspective, you could talk about Mahomes not having the weapons, stuff like this and that and this and that. It makes him a better NFL quarterback. Don't get me wrong, because he's making more out of nothing. But we're talking fantasy, and you want the guy that has the Stephon Diggs to throw the ball to. You want the guy with the weapons. You don't necessarily want the guy who's proven that he can play with nobody. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
See,
I mean, I agree with you from a fantasy standpoint. Like, yeah. But it's just tough because it's like, even when I think of longevity-wise, I think Patrick Mahomes can last longer than Josh Allen from that standpoint.
Well, here's one thing I got to say about that. Like, when you're doing a dynasty startup, okay, you got a good group of guys that you know you're going to be in a league with for a long time. You got a 28-year-old quarterback. Most quarterbacks probably going to play to mid-30s. Let's just say an average of 35, 37 years old. You're going to get 8 years out of that guy. So would you take a known stud at 28, or do you want the up-and-comer at like 22, 23 years old? Like right now, let's say, you're looking between Mahomes and, like, I don't know, like the next guy that comes out, like Lamar Jackson, Lamar's still really young. You're not really gonna raise your rankings up that much just based on like 4 years age when it comes to quarterbacks. I understand running backs and stuff, but I mean, this ain't even the Josh Allen Mahomes argument. It's just, what do y'all think about that? Like, what's the age gap? Does that make that much of a difference in a dynasty league if it's just like a 28-year-old versus a 23-year-old? Chris, what do you think?
At quarterback, I'm not too worried about it. But really, you got to sit there and watch how these quarterbacks play to determine, what you think their ideal, how many more years you're going to get them. Patrick Mahomes plays football very safe. He doesn't take a lot of big hits. He does get injured now and then, but he doesn't take a lot of big hits. Josh Allen, that dude runs into people like he's Derrick Henry. I've seen this dude try to truck people like he's Derrick Henry. Another guy that we've talked about before that did this, his MVP year, Cam Newton did this at his size, doing all this. Cam Newton's career, this dude should still be playing right now. He's in his 30s. He's, if he didn't maybe do all that, maybe last longer. I'm not saying that's going to happen with Josh Allen, but I feel if you're going to go off and draft a young guy, the next two right there are what you wait on. You go Jalen Hurts because you're going to get more out of Jalen Hurts. Justin Herbert, you're going to get longer out of them for sure. You're going to get 3 or 4 more years probably. And like you were talking about the rushing ability with Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts provides that too, and he's got 10 rushing touchdowns in 2 consecutive seasons. If you want to go young, you can skip out on Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. Beef up, maybe instead of in your first round pick, you go Justin Jefferson or something like that. Go get you something and then wait and grab that next quarterback. If you want to go young like that, you can start that. I'm doing that right now, and I mean I'm the 4th seed in my league, and I'm playing it like that. I went young. And got Jalen Hurts up and coming. This dude's the number 1 quarterback right now in fantasy.
Yeah. I got Jalen Hurts in that startup Superflex draft before the season. Like, I don't even know. It was like the 4th round or something crazy. I have to check that out because I don't want to. But to answer your question, Kraft, is I got to look at it position by position because at quarterback, I don't know. I'm not going to take somebody younger like a Lamar Jackson. He's like 25, knowing that I can get like 8 years of Patrick Mahomes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I don't even think Lamar Jackson's going to get 10 years to go to 35. I like Lamar Jackson, and I'll take Lamar Jackson over a lot of people. But then, see, at quarterback is different than, say, running back. Because at running back, when I do a ranking, I might put the younger guy up there. You know what I'm saying? Just because his longevity might be 3 to 4 years. Although some of these running backs are kind of getting there. But another thing is like it's different because with like tight end.
Yeah.
Man, I don't have no my conscience ain't guilty at all putting Travis Kelce up real high. You know what I'm saying? And he's older than a lot of these guys. So I don't know. It's just position by position. And wide receiver with the longevity of those guys, I like to go younger guy with them too. So with quarterbacks, I mean, I don't think it's I ain't gonna say no debate. It's obviously a debate. Now I would have said Herbert. If Herbert would have played better this year, I think he would have had a real good argument with him being 24, and then you're looking at his longevity and stuff. But I just don't think I could take Herbert over. I mean, we'll probably touch on this later on. We're talking about Herbert getting passed up by Jalen Hurts and stuff like that. So, I don't have no problems picking Mahomes and then Josh Allen.
Well, let's widen the age gap right here. Like, opinion for a startup draft for people starting. Say Russell Wilson was just tearing it up this year. He's like number 3 quarterback. It's a moot point. Russell Wilson sucks. But just from an age standpoint, Russell Wilson's 34. Say he was the 3rd quarterback on the list this year. In a dynasty startup, are you taking Russ, like a good Russ? Or would you take like Trevor Lawrence earlier? If Trevor Lawrence, say he finished this year at QB 12, like there's a 10-year age gap, but, well, I mean, what do you do right there, Chris? Like, who are you choosing first in a dynasty startup?
I'd see if it's this super flex, right?
Yeah,
what we're talking about.
Super flex.
I still might go with Trevor Lawrence.
Just the age?
it's not even just the age. It's just that even in a super flex league, I want my team to be a lot more fleshed out rather than just at the quarterback. I don't play a lot of super flex leagues, so I want better play. Like if I can get Trevor Lawrence later, and then know that maybe one day I can go off what he was ranked whenever he came in as one of the best QB prospects to ever be scouted, and it hasn't worked out. And now it's kind of flashing. Now, if I can wait a few more years and have Trevor Lawrence as he develops, it's not bad. Not bad at all.
Look, I'm with Chris on that one. I would definitely take Trevor Lawrence at that point, knowing the ages and like Trevor Lawrence is 23. We're talking about Russell Wilson at 34. Even if he was tearing it up, you got to think you're only getting like 3, maybe 4 good years. And if you're like a true believer in somebody like Trevor Lawrence, like some people ain't true believers, but if you're a believer in them, I mean, you're getting Trevor Lawrence for the next 13, 14 years.
Yeah.
So
he was like the only age gap quarterback that I could think of that was like mid 30s. You got these guys like Rodgers, Brady, old as shit.
yeah.
And then the other ones that are in their 30s are a little older, like Derek Carr. I mean, obviously they're not good enough. So, I was just trying to come up with a comparison of like a mid-range, early 30s quarterback compared to like one of these young guys. If somebody starts tearing it up, like what approach you take in a draft, a dynasty startup, if you want like the proven guy, or if you want a guy, like you said, a guy you believe in with upside or something.
Right. It's tough. I mean, Superflex, like we probably gonna get into some Superflex startup drafts here in the next couple months, and I can't wait to get up in that shit. So, because things change, man. Things look way different than last year when I was getting up into it. So, yeah. All right. Well, the next one right here is this is one I see on Fantasy Pros. I'm gonna talk about the guys ranked 3, 4, and 5. Because I feel like we do a lot of debating of Jalen Hurts and Justin Herbert, but I think there's a little bit of debate to me between Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, and Joe Burrow. I think we could slide Joe Burrow up in that mix too. If you were just ranking them 3, 4, and 5, Herbert, Hurts, Burrow, how do you rank those 3 guys right there? Go ahead, Kraft man.
I think Hurts is going to be number 3. And then I want to say Burrow because of the fact that his receivers are younger. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. If you're just talking about pure pocket passers on a good offense, and I mean Burrow's outperformed this year, but Burrow's outperformed Herbert by a long shot this year. But Herbert had, his receivers are banged up, but Keenan Allen's going on 32. Mike Williams, I'm not sure how old he is.
He'll be 28 going into next year.
Yeah, 28. And then you're talking about Jamar Chase and T. Higgins going to be there. If they can sign them both, that's the big thing. Like, if they can afford to sign them both and sign Burrow, he still hasn't got his contract yet. So there's a lot of things that could change there. I mean, Chase is going to be there for a while, but, Higgins, his contract will be coming up. Boyd, he'll probably be gone eventually. But, yeah, I think I'd put Burrow just based on the wide receiver talent and the age. Yeah. What do you think, Chris?
I've got Hurts at 3 for sure. He's just done so much this year that just surpassed I mean, they've got like the best offensive line I've ever seen this year. I mean, they have a play that they run that literally converts 92.5% of the time that they run it converts. The QB sneak, 92% it goes through. That's insane. That next two, it is tough, and I do agree with what Austin was saying, that I might be inclined to put Burrow higher because he's got younger weapons. Keenan Allen is going into being 32. Mike Williams has had a lot of injuries in his career. He's going to be 28, and I've had these discussions with Matt before. I remember we sat there and talked about Keenan Allen, when they were going to have to make that decision. When is Keenan Allen going to decide he don't want to play, or when is he going to decide that he has to sit back and not be that number one guy after being that number one guy on that team for years and letting Mike Williams step up? If Mike Williams' career even lasts that long with all the foot injuries that he's had. This dude has had all his injuries are like foot. I mean that can fuck your career over a long span of time. But Joe Burrow, his rookie contract's going to be coming up. Jamar Chase has got a bit before his comes up, but T Higgins is coming up. They're going to want to look at what they're going to do with Mixon and all that. That's uncertainty. But with that, I'm going to go Burrow Herbert just with the weapons is why I'm going to go that right now.
Yeah, see, to me, that's all interesting because before this season, Herbert goes, man, Herbert,
He
yeah, I was
was
about
my.
to say Herbert
I
goes
picked him at
2.
number 2. I picked him
And
at number 2.
I agreed with that because I had faded Patrick Mahomes, and I'm done doing that shit. I ain't never doing that shit again. Yeah, I had Mahomes at 2. So to say or I had Herbert at 2. So to me, that was tough. To me, when it comes to a dynasty rankings, I don't know if I'm sure I want to just straight up knock a guy just after one season. Like I see online on Twitter, like people want to knock Jonathan Taylor down super far. I'm like, I don't know, man. After 1 year, I don't know if I could just do that.
Yeah.
I kind of feel the same that way with Herbert. My thing is with Herbert is like, and this is a question I'm gonna ask to both of y'all. I say the situation fucking matters. There's some people out there that don't even care about that shit. They're just like, it is what it is. Age and talent is over everything, and I think age and talent definitely has its place. But I also think I'm probably one of those guys that have the situation a little bit higher in my calculations than other people. So just where does that stand for you? Because I would probably lean Hurts. Nah, I'm just gonna be honest, man. I feel like I can't do it, man. I think I would go Herbert, Hurts, and Burrow. Still,
Oh man, damn, really?
I think as a talent perspective, I think Herbert's better than Hurts and Burrow. That's where the
He's
age
got
and
the,
talent just comes in a little bit.
and I mean, Joshua Palmer can become a thing when Keenan Allen gets done. Joshua Palmer, he's only in his second year. He's got a lot of room to grow. He could become a guy. I mean, not saying that he's just going to be crazy good, but I mean, Devontae Adams took 3 years to become good. I mean, he was behind Jordy and Greg Jennings and all them folks before anybody even knew who he was. So, like, these younger guys can step up, and he might end up being good or something like that. And or they might go sign somebody. They can go draft or trade for one. I mean, you never know, but yeah, I mean, Herbert, I don't know if I'd physically, he's probably more gifted than Burrow, but as far as just quarterback play goes, I don't know. They're close. Very close.
Yeah, and another thing is like I think coaching matters too, and I think Jalen Hurts got a better coach than Herbert and Burrow. So it's like
For
it
sure.
all, but it's just tough. Like I'm not saying like when we release our dynasty rankings here in a couple months, I'm not saying I'm gonna have him like that, but I'm just saying it's hard for me to just say, man, I'm knocking Herbert down from 2 to 5 after one bad year when it looks like they heating up anyways here towards the end. So
Yeah.
Some crazy folks would have two up there with them.
man, right here I see Tua's up here at 8 behind Lamar Jackson and Justin Fields. Might be another
I
little
don't.
debate.
That is that one right there. Them three in a tier of their own is very interesting, and I don't. Whatever comes out of my mouth is just gonna come out of my mouth on that one. It's gonna be thinking on the fly.
Yeah, well, we can just go ahead and hit on it then. Well, real quick, let's just recap it, man. I think as of today, and I'm not sitting here saying I'm going to think this next week, and I'm definitely not saying when I think I sit back and do my dynasty rankings, because I'm going to sit down, I'm going to go through everything. I think I still want to lean Herbert, Hurts, Burrow. But y'all are going What are you going, Kraft? You say
Hurts, Burrow, Herbert.
Hurts, Burrow, Herbert. Chris, you agree with that?
Yeah, Hurts, Burrow, Herbert.
Burrow, Herbert. All right. So the next one where we go is Lamar, Justin Fields, Tua. In fact, to finish off this tier right here, it's got Deshaun and then Kyler at 10. So basically, as far as Fantasy Pros goes, it went in tier 2. It's got Joe Burrow, Lamar, Justin Fields, Tua, Deshaun, and Kyler in tier 2. And in tier 1, Jalen Hurts was all the way up there. So it shows at least what Fantasy Pros thinks of him or whatever their experts think. But I mean, I guess the debate here is Lamar, Justin Fields, Tua. I like it. Crab, go ahead, man. Spit it at us. What you got?
I can't. I was hoping you weren't gonna call on me first, but I can't just put Justin Fields up there yet. Like, he's doing what Lamar has already done, and it's just a stretch of about 5 or 6 games. So I can't put Fields there. You know, the Bears, they got a lot of draft capital. They can go out and get some receivers, some young guys that bring in with him. But shit, just this week, their number 1 receiver is going to be Equinemius St. Brown. I mean, Mooney's out. This is for this year, but Mooney's out. And Claypool's out. And that's their 2 top guys, Mooney and Claypool right now. So that's what we know. So Justin Fields is not up there with me. You know, Kyler was way down there. The ACL has definitely done him a disservice for next year, too. So he's dropped because of that. I mean, you draft him in a Dynasty startup next year, you're not going to have him for probably half the year.
But I will say this. If I can get Kyler as my coming off the 10th quarterback off the board, I feel like that's a pretty good price to get him at.
Kyler or Fields?
Oh, man, it's Kyler, and it's not even close to me.
Yeah,
I think Fields, I'm with you. Fields, you wouldn't have Fields that high. I think Fields is... I can sit here and admit I've been wrong about Fields. He's way too high in these rankings for me. 7? Like, what in the fuck? I wouldn't even put him ahead of Trevor Lawrence, who's sitting here at 12. So, I don't know.
Yeah, that's closer to me. I think with that goes, as far as them rankings go, I think Lamar is still going to be behind Herbert for me. And then it's either Tua or Kyler. And I think I'm going to roll with Tua, I think, behind him. Tyreek there, a couple more years. Jalen Waddle there. This shit's close. You know, flip a coin with that one. But the Kyler injury, if he hadn't had that ACL thing and I was thinking to start up draft next year, I would probably draft Kyler over Tua. But knowing coming into next year, if I'm doing a startup draft, I couldn't take Kyler that early knowing that I'm not going to have him for half the year. I mean, where do y'all stand on that?
Chris, go ahead with it.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely affects it. If you're going to take him up from that 6 to 8 spot, oh man, in the startup, you already know that you're not having a quarterback for at least, like you saying, half the year, maybe more. That's tough.
And that
for me, I have to go like
bad. That franchise is going downhill quick.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Lamar Jackson. I'm gonna go Tua over Kyler just because. I mean, Tua is such a good quarterback. I had argued that he was in the top 10 Dynasty rankings. I'm glad to see him right here. I'd have put him at 7. Justin Fields is not up there to me. I don't think so. This dude's, he's literally the entire offense. He's, he's going to have Equinemius St. Brown. He's not even the best brother out there playing for him. If he had him on Rhyme, it made it a little bit different, but you're going to be throwing to Equinemius and Komet. And to be honest, they're not even going to be throwing the ball. They're going to be running the ball like every play is what they do.
I guess my thing right here is, Chris, is like, we're talking about Justin Fields' situation, but what about Lamar's situation? Like, his situation ain't looking so pretty over there in Baltimore. I know, but I'll give him this. Rashad Bateman's hurt, and he does have Mark Andrews. But, at least Justin Fields has Cole Kmet. I ain't saying he's a Mark Andrews, but, both of their situations.
What's the contract? Has he signed the contract yet?
Yeah.
He might even be gone.
I even said in a video this year, Baltimore, if you don't pay Lamar, tell him fuck off and go somewhere. Tell him to fuck off and go somewhere else. Lamar plays really like the rushing upside doesn't even really bother me with this Lamar not playing this long because Lamar knows not how not to take big hits. Like when you see Lamar go for these scrambles and stuff, he always he'll run out of bounds. Sometimes he gets physical, but he ain't like Josh Allen where he's just straight up Derrick Henry and trying to run somebody over that could dislocate his shoulder and fuck your team for the night.
But Kyler proved you don't need no contact to be out for a year.
That's the way it goes. The worst injuries are all non-contact. Sterling Shepard, kind of same kind of deal for no on a play that didn't really mean nothing. Tore his ACL. That's how it happens.
Man,
I mean, you can look at it the way you want to with the Russian quarterbacks. I mean, Kyler's hurt this year, Lamar's hurt, but Allen's all right. Jalen Hurts is all right. Justin Fields is all right. There's been a lot of stagnant QBs that are out with injury. The pocket passers, Mike White's out, Jimmy Garoppolo, he don't run, he's out. It's just a shot in the dark sometimes with these. And when it comes to fantasy, that's one of the risks I'm willing to take is get that rushing upside. And if he gets injured, he gets injured. I mean, that's the way I look at it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, you definitely want the quarterbacks with the rushing upside. You just got to accept that he could get injured. And if it's a super flex league, see that's another thing though. I don't really view Patrick Mahomes. I feel like Josh Allen's going to get hurt before Patrick Mahomes would. You know what I'm saying? Patrick Mahomes is sturdy and shit.
Patrick Mahomes might go out next game. I mean,
if he does, I'll be like, damn.
You jinx that man hard.
Like I wouldn't even put Kyler Murray even that low behind these guys. I think I would still take. I know he's out right now, but if we're doing like a startup, I would still rather take Kyler Murray high and then go and get me a lower quarterback later to fill the void at the time. Like I would take Kyler Murray ahead of Lamar, and I would definitely take him ahead of Lamar, Tua. I mean, and this right here, it's got Deshaun ahead of Kyler Murray. I sure wouldn't do that. And I'm a Deshaun guy to the core.
He's going. So, you asked me about Deshaun, you ain't gonna hear about him for a while.
Yeah, we'll talk about Deshaun, but I ain't gonna sit here and bury Deshaun yet. After being out for 2 years, only being 27, that's another guy. That's like 8 years, man. 8 years of this shit. I don't know, man. I would put Lamar ahead of Justin Fields. Justin Fields way too high. Let me just look at the keep trade cut where they got Justin Fields at.
It's got to be lower than that. These folks are living in the moment for sure over here at Fantasy Pros.
Yeah, and keep trade cut, they got Justin Fields tied for 9th. No, QB 7.
Where do y'all think Lamar was after his MVP year in Dynasty rankings? Was he number 1 QB?
Shit, probably. I would say probably so. I mean, I can't say off the top of my head. That's a new podcast. I wasn't deep into Dynasty rankings like that back then, so I can't say. But
yeah, I know he had to be up there, but yeah. I mean, the thing I think with Lamar's contract situation kind of got him in a good spot because he could stay with Baltimore and he could pretty much pull the Aaron Rodgers thing and be like, I'll stay with y'all, but I need some fucking help. Y'all need to get some receivers in here.
He needs it. Shit.
Or he could go somewhere else, and the way he plays, he'd be fine somewhere else. Like he's obvious. All he has is Mark Andrews right now, and he's doing.
Come to Atlanta.
Yeah.
I was about to say, could you imagine Lamar Jackson under center of the Atlanta Falcons?
Come to Atlanta, my guy. I beg you.
You're swapping out Mark Andrews, but you get big ass Kyle Pitts when he comes back, and then you got Drake London. I mean.
Yeah, man, we would be assuming the head coach gets it right. We could be a whole little shebang. All right, look, fellas. Well, let's just go ahead and just sum it all up. I pretty much said Lamar, Justin Fields, Tua. Our rankings would be a little bit different, but I would go Lamar, Tua, Justin Fields. Is that where y'all stand?
Justin Fields still ain't in there for me.
Yeah, agreed. Justin Fields is way too high, but if we was ranking those 3 just in a vacuum.
Oh, in a vacuum, yeah, I do. Yeah, Lamar, Tua, Justin Fields.
Okay. I guess the next and my opinion is I would take Kyler Murray above every one of them
Same.
personally.
I'd take him above. I'd take him above Fields. That'd be it for me.
Yeah, I wouldn't take him above Tua.
Yeah, I would take him over. I would take Kyler Murray over Lamar and Tua personally, and that's with the injury, because
No,
it is what it is.
that
At
man
this
not
point,
dedicated, man. He's a gamer. He's got a problem.
hey, if this was real football, Kyler Murray would be way down my list, man. If I was an Arizona fan, I'd be just like frustrated as fuck. I'm just being honest, but
Why do you like Kyler so much? So, like, what's getting you? I mean, Kyler.
he just gets those
I
sneaky
mean,
rushing yards. This dude is
He's
this
he's
dude is a
QB
good
13
passer.
on the year. He is behind Jared
Sneaky.
Goff and Kirk Cousins this year.
I wouldn't
dude
say that they're
ain't-
sneaky. He runs 30 yards a game too.
But what I'm
I don't
saying is
think that it's
he ain't had basically his whole team's been hurt all year.
I do agree with that.
He has only had Hopkins and Hollywood Brown for one game.
Yeah,
That's
but their
it.
offensive line's terrible. They're not going to fix that next year.
His tight ends out for the year. Like this dude's had everything against him.
You talking about Zach Ertz?
Zach Ertz is better. We're talking about tight ends. I mean, Zach
Tyler
Ertz is a
can't-
fine tight end.
Probably can't. I don't know. Like I
I'll
said,
take-
QB 13 this year. And this
And
is before,
he's only 25. It's like I put it like this: if we're talking about passing the ball, we had this debate earlier, and I know it's over. It's got to be over with. He's definitely a better passer of the football than Lamar Jackson.
your boy Trevor Lawrence. Your boy Trevor Lawrence is outperforming the hell out of this dude, and he has promise coming in. They got young receivers. They're an up and coming team with a good, decent offensive line. I mean,
I'm with you. I think Trevor Lawrence is high, but to put him up there in the top 6, that seems extreme. It's like I said, I'm gonna have to sit here and sit down and roll through them all because I ain't doing it right now. And I like Trevor Lawrence, and like it's so funny that we had that debate about Dak and Trevor Lawrence because they are always side by side in everything I see. Like even in these rankings right here, it's Dak and Trevor Lawrence. It's funny as fuck. But I mean, I don't know. To me, Kyler Murray is just like it's almost to the point where, and like I've hated on Kyler Murray a ton. The hate is almost getting too much. Like this dude's making the Arizona Cardinals relevant as they could be. They've been to shit shows since the day I was born, except for that when Kurt Warner was there for a little bit. So it's like it's like when I used to say like some of these franchises are just shitty. Like when people like to hate on Matt Ryan, it's like, dude, Matt Ryan was winning with the Falcons, bruh. The Falcons. So it's like Kyler Murray's done some things with the Cardinals. Like they're the Cardinals.
but in Dynasty, you're gonna be looking at that team every single day for years and years. Wouldn't you want to have a guy, if they're in a close tier together, wouldn't you want to have a guy that you actually enjoy watching on a team that you enjoy watching? Like you wouldn't take Trevor Lawrence over Kyler at this point. Like not even close.
But if we're talking about enjoy watching, like I'm a Clemson fan, so of course I'd rather watch Trevor Lawrence.
I mean, I'm saying in the same tier though. I mean, if they're in the same tier and they're that close, like the Dak Prescott Trevor Lawrence thing. You're a Trevor Lawrence fan. You'd obviously take Lawrence over Dak.
Well, that's not even debatable to me.
I mean, you ask me, and I say Dak about every time.
I mean, right now, you would say Dak over Trevor Lawrence? This dude Dak be struggling against Houston and shit with that team.
You can't go on one game. Every team has a bad game.
I don't know, man. I was all for Dak getting paid. Well, let's just go ahead. This is the next topic then. Fuck it. It's Dak versus Trevor Lawrence again. I was all for Dak getting paid what he got paid. But ever since this dude's got paid, this dude has dramatically underachieved with the Dallas Cowboys. And even this year, I mean, heck, who even knows? Because I know Dak Prescott missed some games. So, I mean, I'm sure their points per games are probably close. But it's like, eventually, these Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be bringing in more than just Christian Kirk and Zay Jones and shit. Like, those guys ain't shit in my eyes. But Dak Prescott struggling with CeeDee Lamb and Gallup and shit. You would take them two over any of the Jacksonville guys in real football, I feel like. I
mean, Dak, he had the 1 year with his ankle where it broke in half. But last year, he was the QB8. The year before that, in 2019, he was the QB2. So you're looking at QB2, QB8, 2 out of 3 years, and he was QB32 with 5 games because he didn't
Dak
play.
Prescott, he's also 29, and Trevor Lawrence is 23.
Yeah, and that comes back to what we were talking about a little earlier. That does make a big that. I don't know how much that makes a difference. That's the comparison that I want right there. Is that 29
Well,
versus
it's like,
23?
I see Dak Prescott now. Do I think he has 6 good years left? And I'm just like, I don't know, man. To me, he looks like he's struggling now.
Yeah,
So it's
he
like,
is.
he's 29.
Yeah.
What would you say is the cutoff point for a quarterback? What are you not taking? What age are you not taking a quarterback?
To me, there just ain't a cutoff date. To me, it's
Yeah.
just like, if you can give me 4 good years, then maybe I'll take you in a startup draft. Like, I'm not taking Tom Brady in a startup. Well, I mean, Tom Brady sucks this year, but think about how good Tom Brady was last year, how good he was last year. Before last year, I'm still not taking Tom Brady up high. No matter how good he was, he had to be like a top 3 or 4 guy last year.
I guess
But
my
there's
main debate with Dak is just the Cowboys versus the Jaguars, like history wise. I look for
I think-
patterns in the NFL, and like Jaguars have never been good. The Cowboys have always been good enough.
I don't know, but the thing is, I don't know how you can even say they've been good enough. They've underachieved
they are good
more than
enough.
anybody.
Exactly, they have underachieved, but for fantasy wise, they always have studs. That's all that mattered. Like Cowboys are, I said it a million times, they're always good enough to make people believe that they can win a Super Bowl, and then as soon as they get in the playoffs, they lose the first game. And
I
for
guess
fantasy, that's good. You want competitive teams. You don't want teams getting ran out of the building every year.
But you think Jacksonville's going to get ran out of the building in the AFC South for the next 12 years? I mean,
I don't know.
They compete.
They went to
now, I
an
feel
AFC
like.
championship not long ago, and then they
Who?
just fell. Jacksonville, Blake Bortles. They went to the AFC championship with them,
What
and then
year was
right after that year, they just fell off. That was probably like 2016, and then they went to being the same old Jaguars.
But that was with Blake Bortles. I mean, don't you think Trevor Lawrence is a little bit different than Blake Bortles?
I like Trevor Lawrence now. I mean, I really think he's improved. I just think it's very close between. If you want to take Lawrence over Dak, you can do that. I just like you've seen more of Dak. You've seen more of Dak, and you've seen when he's healthy what you're going to get. You're going to get a QB1. That's bottom line. If Dak plays all year, he will not finish outside of QB12. In my opinion.
Let me just look because I just want to see what's going on now. Like Trevor Lawrence right now is the QB8, but I can't look at that when I'm talking about him versus Dak because Dak missed some games, which Dak always misses games. It seems like. Let me see, Dak. His points per game is 17. I'm sure Trevor Lawrence's ain't that much higher. Probably like a little bit. Let me just look just to say, just for the
Probably
people.
higher. He's probably higher.
18.61. Just a little higher with a way worse squad.
Killing them. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, this guy's number 1 is Christian Kirk and Zay Jones.
When we do dynasty rankings, I wouldn't be surprised if Lawrence is right ahead of Dak for me. I mean, they're going to be back to back though. It's going to be so close.
It is crazy because ever since we've had that debate, everything I see, it's like they're side by side and shit. They're playing against each other this week, and I'm decided I'm playing Dak over Trevor Lawrence. But that's because Dallas got a good defense too, though.
Sometimes that hurts a quarterback too.
Yeah. Well, what do you say, Chris? Me and Craftman been going on about,
In a dynasty, I'm just going to go ahead and roll with Lawrence and then just hope it pays off down the road. But, I mean, why you can argue is taking Dak is like, Cowboys history-wise, I mean, yeah, they are. They are historically a lot better than the Jaguars. They know what they're doing. They got a good-ass offensive line, too, so you don't have to worry about
And
getting hit. You don't have to have a Deshaun Watson situation where you're the most hit quarterback in the NFL, and you can't get a fucking line to save your life.
Dak still gets hurt though.
He does, and that's gonna affect. I mean, like Kraft said earlier, he snapped his ankle in half. I mean, when he hits a certain point, I mean, that shit's gonna, that's gonna stick around. That's the kind of shit don't just go away. at 29? You think Dak's got 6 good years left in him? Do you think he's got 6? 29?
Yeah, I do.
Not anymore. I used
I'm
to
gonna say
back Dak.
4. I'm gonna give Dak 4 is what I'll give him.
I used to back Dak as hard as anybody, but I don't know, man. He just ain't looking the same to me. To me, it looks
Hate
like
the
he's
Cowboys.
declined. I hate the Cowboys too.
I like the Jaguars a lot better than the Cowboys. Watching it.
Chris talking about he'll take Trevor Lawrence as he wears that purple jersey with
Yeah, I was about to say you might well not even ask Chris. Like he's got a Clemson shirt on.
But I mean, I am being like unbiased to that. That's just me for how I would strategize and draft.
Is the upside higher, Kraft? The upside with Trevor Lawrence, is it higher than Dak Prescott at this point? Damn, you think that's debatable?
The upside with Dak I just looked it up. His QB2. That's Dak's upside was the QB2. I can say right now, with the way Dallas's defense looks, he can't finish as the QB1 or QB5. They don't have to throw that much.
Yeah.
Their defense runs games. Like until their defense starts playing like Detroit's and they got to keep up in these high games, like he's not asked to do all that much. I mean, Cooper Rush went like 4-1 with them.
All right, well, check this out then. How about this? Because we pretty much stand where we stand. We talked about Justin Fields earlier. Where would you put Justin Fields with Dak Prescott and Trevor Lawrence? Would you put him behind them guys? Because I would. Maybe not Dak.
Let me think about it.
I just say like Justin Fields. I know you're rushing a lot and get a lot of yards and stuff, but yeah, they're not ahead of Dak or Lawrence to me at this point. Lawrence has proven that he can just sit in the pocket and pass the ball, and I mean Dak's resume speaks for itself with him passing the ball, and we just haven't seen that with Fields. You know, you were scouted as this big dual threat quarterback, but yet all I really see is you running the ball. That's all I see. I don't see the dual threat. I don't see you passing the ball. To me, you're a running back labeled as a quarterback right now at this point, you know. And
I think people will figure it out.
See you, and I want him to step up. Yeah, shit. Like I said, I've had the opportunity to talk to Justin Fields a few times. Shout out Mike and Pat, man. He was related to them. I want to see Justin Fields succeed in all of this, but I need to see. You know, they went and got him Claypool. Whether or not you think that's a good weapon or not, I mean that's up for debate. But I mean, we're going into this game. His top receivers are Kmet and Equanimous, and if that's how it's going to look, and you're telling me the only better it gets is Darnell Mooney and Chase Claypool, hell no, I'm not putting him up there. I'd rather take Lawrence and Dak Prescott all day. Give me Dak on that third year of the 4 years I said he had left right now instead of that, unless that situation in Chicago changes.
You know, it's crazy because you got to think, you're like, damn, they got to go out there and get Justin Fields some help. But they did just give up their second round pick for Claypool. So it's like, holy shit. I don't know, man. It might not get better, man. It might not. All right. Well, look, I guess there's just a couple guys I want to hit on from a quarterback standpoint, not necessarily like ranking them. I guess the first one is Deshaun Watson. How high are you willing to put a Deshaun Watson? I think before this season, before the 11-game suspension, I was willing to put him up pretty high. I ain't doing that. I don't feel comfortable doing that now. I think I've seen a lot of these quarterbacks step up and they were playing. Like, I would put Kyler Murray ahead of Deshaun. I'd put Trevor Lawrence ahead of Deshaun. Stuff like that. I guess, where's the threshold? I mean, I think because I'm looking at Fantasy Pros right here. They got Trey Lance at 13. I'm putting Deshaun Watson, of course, ahead of Trey Lance. And Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, all that. I would put Deshaun Watson ahead of Dak Prescott, but I wouldn't put him ahead of Trevor Lawrence, is what I'm saying. Or Kyler Murray, or Tua. Might not even put him ahead of Justin Fields. To me, that's more of a debate than anything. What do you say, Chris? Go ahead.
I just got to see some of this rust knock off. But if this rust gets knocked off, we talk about it. I'm wearing a Clemson jersey. I like Deshaun Watson. I'm a fan, but I mean, you look like shit And you were supposed to come out here and silence all those people saying all this shit about you, what you went through. I get it, you're rusty, but man, I don't know if I'd take him over Dak Prescott right now. I just don't think I would. I got to see in a startup. I'm probably just gonna, unless I'm just banking for a few years down the road, because I think Deshaun's got a good minute to play. But if I'm just banking for a few years down the road, I may go Deshaun. But I just feel like Dak's just gonna be better. But I would definitely put him ahead of Trey Lance. So I'd have Lawrence, Dak, Deshaun Watson, and then so on after that.
Yeah,
What you think about that?
I'm thinking the same thing. Dak, Lawrence, Deshaun, and then Fields for me. I'm gonna put him over Fields still. Like I said, I think people are gonna figure out like Fields is. I think he ran like a 4.3 in his combine. He's fast as shit. Like he can run,
fast.
but as far as like agility goes, you can't compare this guy to like Lamar. You can't compare him to the type of runner Lamar is. Like he can take off, he can go, but if you can't, Lamar can do a little bit of both. And to all the haters out there that think Lamar Jackson can't throw the football, Lamar Jackson can throw the football, and he's a better passer than Justin Fields is. So,
Man, listen, man, that is like one thing I'm passionate about. I watch so much ACC football. I'm like
I was
the
just
only
about to
one.
say. I was about to say. I watch so much ACC football. I have seen Lamar Jackson throw the ball, just like you, as the SEC people that said Tua couldn't throw. This dude can throw. Let me tell you, he knows how to throw the ball.
To say that Lamar Jackson can't make the throws to me just makes me sick to my stomach. It makes me sick, man. I hate to see it. Maybe he has some bad games or something. I've seen him have some bad games, but I've seen him also have some great games. But yeah.
running back time now.
Yeah, one more quarterback I want to hit on. One more.
All right.
Real quick. Trey Lance is at 13. To me, I'm like, fuck no. I'm sick of this shit, man. I am sick of this shit. I want to put this in like maybe our podcast description or something like, you can't get credit if you don't fucking play, goddammit. I saw today on Twitter that these people were saying you need to sell Trey Lance stuff. Because in start-off drafts and Superflex, he's going in the second round, man. This dude's going in the second round. So it's like, holy fucking shit, man. That shit drives me off the wall. I'd rather draft guys like Kenny Pickett and shit over Trey Lance at this point. I'm sick of this shit. Kraft, man, real quick, before we go to running backs, what do you say?
Shit, Malik Willis might have a better opportunity to be the starting quarterback for the Titans before Trey Lance becomes starting quarterback for the Niners. Brock Purdy could be the fucking guy next year. Jimmy Garoppolo could be the guy again next year. You cannot draft Trey Lance right there with two quarterbacks ahead of him that's already played more games and better than he has in his two and a half appearances.
Kraft, man, when I did my Dynasty, when I started this podcast, one of the first things I did was Dynasty rankings. I put Trey Lance I put Mac Jones ahead of Trey Lance. And people like Will Savage were hating on me, man, hating on me. And it's like, well, it looks justified now. Another year this motherfucker didn't play.
3 years in a row he has not played football. 3 years.
I'll take Mac Jones over Trey Lance in the startup draft today. Chris, you got any words to say on this before we go to running backs?
Nah, I agree. I just think that people look at the way that this 49ers have built this offense and they're just sitting there like, ooh, licking their chops. Like, ooh, if I can get that quarterback, he's got to go high because Christian McCaffrey is going to save his ass. I just think the way Shanahan runs this offense, it don't matter. They could put a fucking bucket back there and probably go out there and do shit. I mean, yeah. I'm talking rookie year Geno Smith, and he could go out there and do this. It is what it is, and like you said, I can't judge you if I ain't seen you play, man. You gotta go out there and play, but don't sit here and they got you ranked this high. No, hell no. I'd probably be throwing like 34-year-olds ahead of him at this point, like Kirk Cousins. I might take Kirk Cousins over you just because. You
gotta get on the field, man. You gotta get on the field. It's just, it's like you said though. I mean, he's in a great. I think people just look at the situation and they're just like, man, I love it. But even Nick Mullins and them had good games in this offense, so it's like I know they see the situation, but it's like, damn, this guy ain't played football in like 3 fucking years.
And who's to say that they don't make a decision and they're like, okay, you know what? Brock Purdy took us this far. I mean, I know I said the other day I don't think that this is going to happen. I at least think that Brock Purdy will finish out this year probably because I don't see Jimmy G coming back unless he just comes back in the playoff. But
Yeah.
I could see next year because obviously the cap space, all that, they're not going to keep Trey Lance, Jimmy G. It's not going to happen. One of them's gone at that point. What if they say, with the way Brock Purdy has been playing, I mean, he's playing just outstanding for a 7th-round pick. Like that, I mean,
Yeah.
but then again, the offense is so favorable that he doesn't really have to do much. But what if the Niners go out and say, fuck both of them, we don't want to pay them. We can take that money that they were going to pay them and they go pay somebody else. They go get something else on defense and make that defense more stacked than it is now. They go get another offensive weapon to put next to Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, and, Christian McCaffrey. What if they do that? And Trey Lance, you ain't played in 3 years, man. They have all the reason in the world to cut ties with you. They have all the reason in the world to not pay you. They've never seen you play. They've never seen you play.
I
You
guess from
talking
a
about
40,
Deshaun Watson gotta break some rust off. This man has actually proved he's a good NFL quarterback. Trey Lance ain't even. He got more rust than Deshaun got 3 years and hadn't played.
I just think
Hadn't
it's
proven
people
anything.
salivating over that offense. That offense is
Yeah.
nice, and I think that whoever's the quarterback of that offense is going to be, just as consistent fantasy-wise as they come. But I don't think it's going to be Trey Lance, and I definitely am not drafting Trey Lance up this high. Hell no.
nah, can't take him in the second round. So, man, we spent on quarterbacks for a while, but it don't matter. Running backs is next. And I'm looking at the fantasy pros. Let me just take a little quick gander at what Keep Trade Cut got because fantasy pros at number 1 still have Jonathan Taylor up there. And
Oh man,
so do Keep Trade Cut. Got Jonathan Taylor up there. They got basically Keep Trade Cut has Jonathan Taylor, Brees Hall, Kenneth Walker, Saquon, Christian McCaffrey. And the Fantasy Pros has the same top 5, but it's a little bit different order. They go Jonathan Taylor, Saquon, Kenneth Walker, Brees Hall, CMC. Not to say that's what the me and the Craft Man and C Swizzy. That's not saying what we would have. But listen, I guess my first thought is when I see those kind of dynasty rankings is I don't know if I can disagree with Jonathan Taylor not being number 1 still. I know he had a little rough year this year and stuff like that. I'm certainly not dropping him below. It's like if you're taking Jonathan Taylor or Saquon. I'm taking Jonathan Taylor. If you're taking Jonathan Taylor or CMC, I'm probably taking Jonathan Taylor, honestly. Even though that was a little bit closer to me, maybe. It's tough, though. Where do you stand on Jonathan Taylor being number 1, though?
this one's really tough because you got if Brees Hall was healthy, I would take him number 1. If he just kept playing like if he was on the tear that he was on and didn't tear his ACL. ACLs ain't what they used to be. You can come back from them. I mean, Dalvin Cook tore his ACL early in his career. He ended up with a great career. We'll have to see what Javonte does. Shit, man. I think if it was a startup today, I would probably take Brees Hall at the number 1 pick still at running back, and Jonathan Taylor would probably be my number 2. That's me.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I think if it was a startup draft, I might be leaning the same way just because Brees Hall is 21 years old, man. That dude is 21 years old. And unlike quarterback, I'm really looking at age with these running backs. Like, I like to stay young at running back. I know I'm in that. I talk about the home league all the time, and basically I would be in trade talks with Dunk. He's got a lot of old running backs. I got a lot of young running backs. And maybe the old ones would be a little bit better and a little more proven, but I'd be like, I don't want to get older. I want to just stay young. That's pretty much how I feel at running back. And then whenever I feel like I'm ready to sell him, I want to try to sell him for as much as I can get. I just sold DeAndre Swift for Pacheco in the first round, and I feel like I really wish I could have got more, but Swift had been so shitty for a while. But I think I'm with you. I might roll Brees Hall maybe in as my number 1, Jonathan Taylor. See, my debate was I can't move Jonathan Taylor down too far.
No.
But
their quarterback situation ain't going to be figured out next year, though.
No, it ain't. It's not.
And their O line, I don't know.
Is the
Their
Jets
O
though?
line got some young folks on it too. Like they put in a lot of money into their O line, and it's just not performing. So I don't know how that gets figured out right away either. What do you
To
think, Chris?
me, yeah, go for it, Chris.
Yeah, I'm gonna lean towards Brees Hall as well, just because. But talk about the quarter. I don't think the quarterback situations for neither. I mean, you either one of these teams are figured out. You got Matt Ryan that's had this abysmal last year. Jonathan Taylor's not performing, and I do think that Jonathan Taylor, like this all happened. This is a lot to do with like organization, the way they're running shit this year. I mean I agree with that. We've seen the ceiling. We're just going through a little bit of the floor. I think this season. But I will take Brees Hall over Jonathan Taylor, but Jonathan Taylor immediately number 2 for me. Immediately, it's got to be the top 2 to me right now coming off the board.
You say that, Chris, but I'm kind of stuck with Kenneth Walker too, because I'm as high as Kenneth Walker as I am on Brees Hall.
I am too, but what steers me away from that is that before Rashad Penny got hurt this year, Rashad Penny had a massive ass year the year before that. Like Kraft said the other day in the video, Rashad Penny was winning people fantasy championships with the way he was performing. But I know that they know that Kenneth Walker is the guy. Like I'm aware that Pete Carroll can see that and understand that. But Rashad Penny comes back.
No, he's done. I don't think he's coming back with the Seahawks at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
gotta be.
Yeah.
Gotta be done. Especially when you put this much draft capital in a running back, you got him in the second round. You know you're drafting him to be your guy. So I guess if I'm doing a ranking, like the fantasy pros, they got Saquon 2. I would drop Saquon to 4 below those 3 guys, and put him in a little tier with Christian McCaffrey. That's how I feel about it. I would take Jonathan Taylor, Kenneth Walker, and Brees Hall ahead of Saquon and CMC in a startup draft.
You got to figure out what you're going for when you do your startup draft. I mean, if you're trying to win this year, Christian McCaffrey's the number 1. But as far as, setting yourself up for the future, it's scary sometimes with ACLs. We're looking at J.K. Dobbins right now. It's been a year and almost 2, getting close. Well, not 2 years, but about a year and a half, and he's just getting back on the field and looking halfway decent. So you might have a total bust year from Brees Hall next year. You just never know when it comes to these kind of injuries. But from what I've seen, his pass catching prowess, running between the tackles, he's got it all. And the Jets, they got a lot better team around them. I can't even believe I'm saying this, but as of right now, the Jets have a much better team around them than the Colts do.
I know. That is crazy. And one thing I do want to say is it doesn't sound like Brees Hall's injury is as serious as like Dobbins or Javonte Williams. It seems like theirs is like they tore a little more things just in the ACL and stuff like that. But it's funny because that you say it, that we're talking about these injuries. Like I really don't rank Javonte Williams that much lower than these guys. Like I would take Javonte.
Over Saquon?
I don't know, man. The thing
What
is,
about
like,
ETN? What about ETN? Where's he falling?
look, if I'm in a startup draft, just knowing me, and this is just my preference, I'm staying young. I'm taking ETN over Saquon and CMC. But if I'm just sitting here doing a dynasty rankings, I'm just being an analyst. I'm just being objective as possible. I don't know if I'd put ETN above those guys like that. Especially CMC right now. I mean, I don't know, man. It's tough. The running back is tough, man. Wide receivers is tough, but running back is super tough.
The running back's so tough because you don't know what people are thinking and what their goals are when they do the startup draft. Because I know I went into my startup draft saying I want to win this year, but I also want to have a mixture of young guys also, and a couple long shots on the bench, a bunch of young talent. But some people go into a dynasty draft saying, "Hey, I'm gonna be great in 2 or 3 years."
Yeah,
and that's where they're at. So it just depends. Like if you're trying to win this year, your boys like McCaffrey is gonna be the main one. Even JT probably help you, but like if you're trying to be good 2 years from now, Brees Hall, ETN, Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker got a little mixture of both though. He can help you win now and later. So he's kind of tough, like you said.
Yep. I mean, that is tough. I mean, that's pretty much the tier 1 on the Fantasy Pros, and on the tier 2, it had ETN, Austin Eckler, Nick Chubb. Austin Eckler, it's well known he's the best running back in redraft, and if I was in a redraft league next year, I would probably take Austin Eckler pretty high again. Try to ride it out. I'd probably do it with guys like Derrick Henry and stuff like that again, going pretty high with those guys, but. I mean, what do you think about that tier 2? ETN, Eckler, Chubb. Is that how you would rank it like that? And this is Fantasy Pros Dynasty rankings. 6, 7, 8, ETN. Let me see what keep trade cut they got. They got ETN. No, they got ETN, Josh Jacobs, Nick Chubb, then Eckler. So they got Josh Jacobs way higher than
I was wondering
Fantasy
about
Pros. These Fantasy Pros got Josh Jacobs at 11, and then the other one's got Josh Jacobs at like 7 or something like that.
I was wondering about where Josh Jacobs was at, why he was so low right there. I get it's all based on his contract situation. That's why Josh Jacobs. Saquon's got to sign a deal. So out of the running backs that got to sign a deal this year, you got Saquon, Jacobs, and I think there was one more.
Miles Sanders.
Miles Sanders and Tony Pollard.
Yeah,
Tony Pollard, yeah. We own it, man. We on top of things over here at the Cruise Dynasty Podcast. Yeah. Just them four in just a nutshell. I mean, I don't know. I think Josh Jacobs is way undervalued in this. I'd probably take Josh Jacobs ahead of probably ETN on like a dynasty rankings, maybe. I don't know. At least behind Eckler's 27. I'd put Josh Jacobs ahead of Nick Chubb. Wouldn't y'all agree with that one?
Kareem Hunt's about to be gone. It might be. And as much as I've said about Deshaun Watson, next year when we come into redraft season, Deshaun Watson's going to be like the Trey Lance was this year. He's going to be like, draft him late. Everybody draft him late. And you should. Deshaun's going to be back next year. I think he's going to be old Deshaun. Nick Chubb probably in a backfield without Kareem Hunt for the near future. Nick Chubb should be up there. I think I'd still take Chubb over Josh Jacobs with the uncertainty, but it would go ETN, Eckler. Well, no. Oh, man. ETN, Chubb, Eckler, Jacobs for me.
I guess just people, if you're listening, when you keep this in mind, these ain't our dynasty rankings. We'll be getting these out in a couple months.
Yeah.
We just kind of spitballing out the top of our heads because like they right here, they got Josh Jacobs behind DeAndre Swift, Javonte Williams. See, my thing is like I'm not down on Javonte yet. I've seen Javonte play, and when I see him play, I'd rank him up there with that top tier. As far as I'm concerned, I'd put him ahead of ETN, Eckler, and Chubb. But Josh Jacobs should clearly be ahead of DeAndre Swift. And I'm not saying that's DeAndre Swift's fault. Like, I don't know what's going on up there in Detroit. They're running motherfucking Josh Jackson out there. So it's like,
they're winning.
He ain't getting, and they're winning. Swift ain't getting none of the work that. He gets 14 carries. They're talking about this a season high. So it's like, I don't know, man. Swift's got to drop because I don't see it changing. I mean, is it really going to change next year? I don't know, man. And I was high on Swift. I would have said Swift should be one of these tier 1 guys, but got to drop him. And Chris, you're the Josh Jacobs guy. How far would you put this motherfucker at?
I don't know. Before ETN, I'd probably have him. I'd probably take Jacobs above Eckler and Chubb. To be honest with you, you gotta think this dude's 24 years old. He's out here doing this on a team like the Raiders. I don't know. The Raiders are terrible, man. They suck so bad. They'll be getting blown out, and this dude still has 20-something carries a game, and they're getting blown out because they have to give him the ball because I mean he's done broke out. You know, he's getting these big ass runs. He's being physical. He's staying healthy out of the field. But the contract situation is iffy. You don't know where he's going to be. And part of me feels like that he ain't going to go back to the Raiders. He's going to be like, fuck you. You know, y'all already didn't want me, so let me go somewhere else. And that. You just got to wait to see what happens with that. The situation matters. It does. It really does. This is a business. You got to remember that too. It's not just a game. It's a business. And
Yeah.
money talks, man. Whoever's throwing money at you, you're probably going to go follow them.
Situation for sure has got to matter with the running backs. I mean, if it don't matter as much with the quarterbacks, it for sure has to matter with the running backs. I'm just, it's a tough discussion with Josh Jacobs, but I want to say something about these guys who are on their contract years. Josh Jacobs, Miles Sanders, Saquon. I believe Saquon, he's going to be with New York. Josh Jacobs, though, that's a situation I cannot read, man. Because if you decline the 5th year, you're not going to re-sign him to a longer deal. So I guess you're going to have to franchise him. I guess. I don't really see what else you're going to do. And you definitely can't just let the guy walk after this year. So I say, assuming Josh Jacobs is going to be with Las Vegas, you got to like it. All these guys, though, Miles Sanders, Josh Jacobs, Saquon, ain't there one more? Tony Pollard? I think for sure on guys like Josh Jacobs. If you think Josh Jacobs is really going to be gone, I say Josh Jacobs, then I say Miles Sanders and Tony Pollard. And from a dynasty perspective, I'm selling high on them guys if I can. Because the uncertainty is people will definitely go out there, like, not me. I wouldn't go out there and pay a haul for something like Josh Jacobs, where I don't know what the fuck's about to happen, or Tony Pollard. I would rather just buy low on a running back that's going to be going like Kareem Hunt. Maybe throw a little late second round, see where that motherfucker goes, or something like that, if you're just going to take a risk. But as far as those three guys, I would try my best to sell high, but now it's playoff time, so you're committed. So it's like Chris has Josh Jacobs now. Chris is also trying to win a championship, and that's the main goal anyways. But it's like, after this year, I don't know, you might have lost your window. But I think it's like a price to pay too, though. If you're going for the championship, it's like, I'll take selling Josh Jacobs a little bit lower in the future because I did go for that shot.
That I was open to trading Josh Jacobs. I had to hit up multiple people trying to trade Josh Jacobs to see what I could get for him. None of them were close. People were trading me. People like, this dude was 28, 29 years old. Yeah, they forget this dude's 24. He's not that old. He's not old at all. It's just the situation. But I feel like if they you go out of your way, you franchise tag them if they're able to do that. I believe that they can do that. They'll franchise tag him. He's not coming back at all. Like that, all that shit's out the window. Like I just feel like once you franchise tag somebody, that they're probably gonna be like, okay, fuck you. When this year's over, I'm gone anyway. So he may get another year if they do that, maybe. But at the beginning of this year, they were saying that Josh Jacobs was not even gonna be the starter before this year started. They were running with they were gonna try out Zamir White and Amir Abdullah was what they were going to roll with, and put Josh Jacobs at the 3. This dude wasn't even going to be the backup. It was like an Antonio Gibson situation. They were going to have this dude running punt returns. Like, I don't know. And then he does this. He goes out and does this. As I've said millions of times, though, as an organization, I don't think that me being a Boston organization could go out and be like, go pay this man after we could have had him cheap. It's a business at the end of the day. You're going to lose a fuck ton of money doing that. And the Raiders are one of those teams that they always seem to fuck that up historically. They draft busts. They pick the wrong players. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to shell out the money, though. And there's not a lot of teams I can think of that's going to shell out that kind of money either. I mean, the Raiders got to shell it out, but so did like the Falcons or the Dolphins these teams that the Rams, the Rams they just shell out money left and right. But, I can't predict where Jacobs is going to go. If I had to say right now, I think he's back. But
I would agree. That's like the most iffiest one. But if you're holding Josh Jacobs now, you got to believe he's got to be back. But what about a guy like Miles Sanders, though? I think a guy like Miles Sanders, I don't know if I would re-sign him. Mel Kiper and Todd McShay today, it was one of them. Got them drafted Bijan Robinson here in the first round. They just tried to get Alvin Kamara. I mean, I don't know, man. Miles Sanders, you got to definitely sell high. I feel like that. This is best case scenario.
I think he's gone. I think he is gone. And I don't think that Miles Sanders is going to be the running back with another team that he is with Philly. So if you're talking about a sell high, he's probably on the top of the list, in my opinion, to sell high. Out of all these guys, Saquon, Jacobs, Miles Sanders, he just had a great game this last game. He's probably going to put up a good amount this week against Chicago. If you ain't contending, I mean, trade deadline's over, but in the offseason, they'll high on Miles Sanders before anybody knows where he's going to go before they start trading in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Don't wait to see where he's going to go. Get rid of him, because like we said, these people were in the market for a running back. They were in the market. They wanted Kamara. They went after Kamara. Like they said, they got a top pick. They might take Bijan. And I mean, good God, that like I said, they're good enough that we might see Eagles Dynasty if they do some shit like that. If their offensive line stays as good as it is, and their pass rush has gotten better. And then their run defense has stepped up the past few weeks. It's been not so great, but it's stepped up.
It's like, definitely, why pay Miles Sanders when you can just go get you a rookie and pay him cheap?
Get a 5, you get a rookie deal, man. You just
especially one with the talent like Bijan Robinson. I guess my other one is, this one's maybe a little bit different, but Tony Pollard. My thing about Tony Pollard is I feel like if I'm Tony Pollard, I feel like I got to go get the bag. I'm going to go out there and go get some money. So whoever's going to throw out the most money, that's where I'm going to go if I'm Tony Pollard. If I'm the Cowboys, I'm like, holy shit, I cannot let this guy go. But you got to do something. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. The Cowboys have to bring Tony Pollard back, but I don't know if they're willing to do that. They got so much money invested in. I'll say this, though. I read this. We've been right about Ezekiel Elliott. He's under contract through 26, but if they get out of him before this next year, they save like $10.5 million or something like that. So they could do it. I just don't think Jerry Jones has the cojones to do it. So I don't know what this situation is. I don't know what's about to happen.
Yeah, Jerry Jones is going to do whatever is going to put the most amount of fans in the seats. And he pays the superstar players. Everybody in Dallas loves Pollard. Everybody in the nation loves Pollard over Zeke. I think Zeke will be gone before Pollard's gone. I think they're going to re-sign Pollard and find a replacement. And like I always said, I don't think Pollard is necessarily a workhorse, but give him 15 carries a game. He's just fine. And back to Miles Sanders just real quick. He's not going to demand the money that Saquon and Jacobs is, so his contract's going to be a lot lighter than them, so we'll see what happens with him. But what do you think about the Pollard situation, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I think best case scenario is for him to stay with Dallas. You got to think, I mean, even when he's splitting touches with Zeke, he's outperforming him when he's doing it. He can have 2 less carries than Zeke and produce way more, real football-wise and fantasy-wise. That's just going to be up to whether or not he wants to. If Jerry Jones shells out a little bit more money, but I don't know. I don't know if he's going to do it. He just gave Zeke that money, but if they can get out of it. But my thing is that what NFL franchises want to come grab that? Well, who's going to try to come get that and deal with that? Because he's going to have them 2 extra years with all that money on that contract that they're going to be getting, unless it becomes void if they get out of it like that.
Oh, yeah. Zeke will have to sign. He'll have to sign a whole new deal. I mean, low.
That's a chunk of change, and he's not going to do it. I know he's not. He just came from the Cowboys where he was pampered. He's good till 2026 if they don't decide to get rid of him. Guaranteed money.
All right. Well, that was a good little. Yeah, I like how we talked about those guys. With being in their last year, free agent running backs. I guess I just want to hit on a few running backs, just not necessarily where they're ranked, but like right here on Fantasy Pros, Ramondre Stevenson, a guy who's ranked number 12. I think if this dude, Ramondre Stevenson, let me see what Keep Trade Cuts got him at. They got him at 8, tied for 8th. So like 9th, 8th, 9th. To me, I think Ramondre Stevenson would be higher if he didn't play for the Patriots. I think it's just all down to Bill.
exact reasoning.
It's like we see Ramondre Stevenson, like this dude is obviously good. He's obviously probably the best player on the Patriots on the offensive side of the ball. They got him 12 behind like Josh Jacobs, Javonte Williams, DeAndre Swift. I think I'd rank him ahead of DeAndre. And then they got him ahead of Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, Najee, who I'm gonna ask about. I'm gonna ask about Najee. Yeah, Najee fell so much in Fantasy Pros. Probably the biggest drop I've seen. But where do you stand on Ramondre real quick?
Oh man, if I had my choice to just draft another running back, I would, just so I didn't have to deal with the headache of the Patriots, because he's great and he could just be incredible league winner year in and year out if they give him all the work like they had this year. But damn, I mean, it could come into next year. They might get some James White looking motherfucker just come out here and catch all the passes. And Pierre Strong might even be that guy. I don't know. I mean, I can't do it with the Patriots running backs, man. And he's ranked right where he probably should be. I mean, not taking nothing away, like saying that it'll be a bad pick if somebody picks him. That's not true. But my own personal opinions, I'd just rather have some of these guys that you don't have the history of Bill Belichick and the way he uses running backs.
Yeah. Chris, you on the same?
Yeah, you gotta think, man. They knew coming into this year, like coming in before the draft, they had Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson, and they still went out and drafted 2 running backs.
Yeah, I know,
And
man.
still went out there and did it. So I mean, it is what it is. I'd rather not deal with the headache. I'm with Kraft. I don't want to deal with the headache.
And if Harris was healthy this year, they'd be using the hell out of him too. If he was healthy, Ramondre wouldn't be doing this.
They'd be in a damn 50-50 split pretty much, using him as like a passing back. And even next year, I mean,
like a 25-25-25-25 split. Might see a quarter split 4 ways with Bill Belichick. You don't ever know.
I do think next year they'll try to get Pierre Strong, maybe even Kevin Harris involved a little more. So, all right, the next one I want to ask about is Najee Harris. We just kind of mentioned him. Dropped so much. This dude was in the tier 1 before last season. He's at 16 right now. I'm talking about this dude's behind guys like Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, who are way older. I mean, I think those guys are better than Najee, but I'm just saying they're way older than Najee. Najee's dropping way down here. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. I've been a little low on Najee for this year. I think in Dynasty perspective, I think he's a pretty nice little buy low if I can get him for the low. Maybe Pittsburgh figures things out, because I'm always looking to see if I can buy some guys for the low that'll overperform. Najee's got to be one of those, so he's definitely a buy low guy for me. 16 though, that seems a little bit disrespectful. He's been trashed this year, but I think he's been a little bit banged up this year too, and he's just been playing through a lot of injury. Even though this is his second year, he's 24 years old too, so. Where do you stand on that one, Kraft man?
Shit, I'll tell y'all for a damn fact, I ain't drafting Derrick Henry or Dalvin Cook over Najee in Dynasty. No way. No way that's happening.
Yeah.
It'll come down to the rankings whenever it hits, when we do our rankings. But Najee, he ain't gonna be running back 16 for me.
Najee or Ramondre? You drafted Najee Harris or Ramondre?
Najee.
Oh no, I'm definitely drafting Ramondre.
We talk about like the ceilings and floors. Like, you don't want to knock Jonathan Taylor down after his. Najee finished as the second running back last year. He was number 2.
Najee or Swift?
I'm probably taking Najee. Yeah.
Najee. Well, DeAndre Swift is what, RB9 on here.
DeAndre Swift has dropped a lot in these little fantasy pro rankings too, but it's like
16.
At least we see Najee it's like
getting worse.
To me, it's like this dude. He had a Liz Frank injury at the beginning. He got hurt later on. To me, at least he's hurt. I know DeAndre Swift got hurt, but it's like this dude just straight up ain't getting the work, man. They're running 3 running backs out there. They ain't doing that in Pittsburgh. I'm just saying that now. Like, Jalen Warren's the second guy, and we all know that for a fact, but it's like, if Najee's playing, this dude's getting the work.
Yep, same here. I mean, I would definitely take Najee. What about Najee Javante?
Oh,
Chris?
man.
Javante, just because of how bad that offense looks. I mean, they're just going to be feeding him.
Well,
That ain't even close.
Denver's
That's
awful.
not even close.
They're stuck with Russ for a while. They're stuck
Man,
with Russ for the long haul.
you saw Javante even
I
in the
know,
limited
and
time
that's
he was
why
here.
that's why it's
He wasn't
good. They're
doing
just
that
going to be
much.
handing him off.
Javante was
was
not
doing-
doing that much at the start of this year.
Javante was doing more than what Najee's doing at his best. Right
Fantasy
now.
points per game.
Go ahead, pull it on
Here
up.
I come. Fantasy
I'm
points
definitely-
per game.
I would just use the eye test and be like, Javante and Najee ain't close.
I can't even.
I don't
find
care.
I can't.
Javonte's
define
he's
Javante.
so low down the motherfucking. Look, he's on my roster. I'll go check him out real quick.
Yeah, go find your little Javante, but he was not lighting the world on fire at the start of the year. I know that. I don't even think he had a 20.
Oh
game.
no, he wasn't. He had an 18-point game, and then he went 9-9 and then 3, but he got hurt that game with the 3.
About like Najee was doing. 9-9-9-9. Najee's game log is like 9-9-10, 9-9-8, 11.
But it's like, you can use the eye test and be like, this dude Javante is way better than Najee. I mean, it ain't even close to me. Like, I'll debate putting Javante in tier 1, at least high tier 2. I ain't putting Najee that high. I'm putting Najee just ahead of the old guys.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't like Denver either, and they're stuck with that offense too. So
yeah, that's true. And you got to think Denver's definitely going to get a running back. I feel like they're definitely going to go grab another one.
at least Pittsburgh's young. Kenny Pickett, George Pickens. At least their offense is young.
Man, Najee ain't shit.
You want like we always say, you want the Seahawks running back. You want the Steelers running back too. Most of the time, you want the Steelers running back.
Yeah,
this is the only year probably in the past 10 years where the Steelers running back hadn't finished in like the top 10 in fantasy.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. I'm with you. I mean, to me, it's not close, but like I would definitely take Ramondre over Najee. I'd take Javante over both of them. So I don't know. We'll just have to, sit down with it later on. I don't know. Is there any more running backs y'all want to touch on real quick before we? There's probably a couple out there that I missed.
Yeah, just a couple of the rookies that are kind of coming up. Like, would you rather have like Rashad White, James Cook, Pacheco, like some of these guys, like them three? Just rank them three right quick for me. Like, Pacheco, Rashad White, James Cook. Which order are you taking them in?
I'd go Rashad White, Pacheco, James Cook. And Rashad White's way too underrated in this fucking thing right here. They got Fantasy Pros got him at 22. To me, that's a damn shame. So I don't know.
Yeah,
especially if Tom Brady comes back. Golly,
Damian Pierce too. Put him in there too. The people I just said plus Damian Pierce.
I'd put Damian Pierce ahead of all of them. Even in the shitty situation. You got to think Houston's about to get Bryce Young on their team. So there's guys like I'm higher on right now. Like I would go buy low on guys like John Mechie right now. Go ahead and do that. They're about to go get them a quarterback. They've already said that they're in the search for a quarterback. They're going to have the number 1, number 2 pick. So all those fortunes are about to change for these Houston guys, except for like they saying Brandon Cooks is going to be on the move in the offseason. Nico Collins, I'd go buy low on Nico Collins if I could. Got all them guys. So
Bryce Young or CJ Stroud ain't going to turn that shit around next year.
Man, it's going to be way better. It's going to be way better than what they're doing.
They'll probably
now.
win 2 games next year.
Shit, I think they'll at least win 4.
But you got to at least. Have you seen their defense?
Shoot, offensively, they're going to be at least a little more competent. They was more competent last year on offense. I don't know why they're so bad this year, but it's just like at least they're going to at least somewhat get I ain't gonna say they're gonna be great. They're gonna be dead last in their division, but what's going on this year is shitty, and Davis Mills sucks. He sucks.
They all
He's just ass. So
Yeah.
I would definitely. You got to think the game script is gonna be a little bit better for Damian Pierce next year. Brandon Cooks is gonna be gone. Nico Collins, John Mechie. I'm buying all them guys if I can.
Hey, speaking of them guys looking for a contract, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is coming up too for KC. Chris,
been done sold.
rank them guys for me, right? What'd you say, Matt?
He should have been done sold on Clyde. It's too late.
we tried to give y'all a warning every week this year. Sell.
Hey, before Chris goes, I halfway was starting to. I was halfway.
Me too. It was
like,
one.
Damn.
Don't find that episode. If you find like the first 5 weeks, we were like sell, and then at like week 6, we were like, damn, this motherfucker just keeps scoring 2 touchdowns a week. Like maybe it'll happen.
I
And then that's when it all went down low.
In the group chat, I was like, Clyde Edwards-Helaire has touched the ball 5 times, and this dude had like 25 fantasy points. I was like, he's touched the ball 5 times.
Man.
I was like, oh, I got offered a first, and I didn't do it.
Well, write them guys for me quick, Chris.
James Cook, Pacheco. Who was the other two?
Rashad White and Damian Pierce.
I'm gonna go Rashad White, James Cook, Pierce, then Pacheco. Because I think James Cook is actually gonna start getting a bit more carries. He's getting a bit more work anyway.
I've seen it out there in the industry. Some people are starting to get a little high on James Cook. I'm not, but I'm not ever high on the on the Buffalo running back right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go shit. James Cook's last on that list for me. It's gonna be Rashad White, Pacheco. Well, no, let me think. Yeah, Rashad White, Pierce, Pacheco, Cook for me.
Yeah, it's tough though. I like it though. That was a good one though, Kraft. I guess another one, while we're talking about it, when we talked about those free agents going into the next year, we forgot to mention David Montgomery.
Yes.
I would sell high on David. Now I don't know. It's a little too late in my opinion. But the thing is like he's got a good playoff schedule, so it's like I wouldn't be selling David Montgomery. But as far as like a long-term thing, it's over with. Like I haven't thought he was the best running back in Chicago for a couple years now. So
they got Khalil Herbert lower than Fournette in this shit. That's not happening for me.
I know, man. Fantasy pros, man. I just want to slap y'all, man. And the thing is like keep trade cut. I really want to slap y'all and y'all shit, especially y'all's calculator. When we start getting big, Kraft, we making our own motherfucking calculator, man. Fuck that shit.
Calculate that shit for us.
Yeah, man. Yeah, exactly.
Any more y'all? Our calculator.
Exactly. Any more y'all want to hit on, man?
I'm good.
Yeah,
good. Y'all, all right. I say we just go ahead real quick. I ain't gonna say real quick because
this is gonna be the toughest one.
This is gonna be a
50
long
minutes
episode.
on QBs and about 30 minutes on wide receivers.
Good. Good. It ain't been too long because we go on to wide receivers. We spending a couple hours on these motherfuckers. First off, I've been saying it for a while. And I think we all agree Justin Jefferson is one. It's pretty consistent. It says it's Justin Jefferson and then Jamar. To me though, it was more of a debate last year. It's not that much of a debate this year. I'm going Justin Jefferson. I think Jamar Chase is closer to the 3 than he is to the 1. That's where I stand.
Yeah, this is so simple to me. I think we should just keep on. I think we should move on to like right after Chase because it's definitely Justin Jefferson Chase 1, 2, right, Chris?
Yeah. I don't think that's up for debate at all.
Then it becomes foggy. After this. Yeah, after Chase, you got as far as fantasy pros goes, you got AJ Brown. This is the guys I want to talk about here because they got him in a different tier. They got AJ Brown in the first tier, and then CD, and then Waddle. That's not a tier break to me. I mean, we should have a. I want to hear what you got to say about that. You got AJ Brown, CD, and Waddle. I mean, that's too close to me.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't break this into it. Like, those guys would all be like tier 1 to me. That I wouldn't break that right there.
Be tier 2. Yeah, all of them should be in. I don't think Brown should be in tier 1. He should drop to tier 2 with them guys, and Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson should only be the only ones in tier 1.
Okay, yeah, I see how you're doing it. Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah,
All
but
right, look.
AJ Brown should definitely be in the same tier as Waddle, CD.
Yeah,
You know.
Okay. See, this is where I differ from y'all a little bit. I think Justin Jefferson is tier 1, and then tier 2 is Jamar, AJ Brown, CD, and Waddle. That's what I say.
I think Jamar's way over them. You got to take Jamar over them with no question.
Oh, I don't know, man. You're taking Jamar over Waddle, no question.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. He's the number 2 on his offense. You're asking me like Waddle or Higgins or something like that. Like, come on, the number 1 on his offense.
I'm definitely taking Waddle way over Higgins, though. Wouldn't you?
Dude, we've been high on Waddle all year, but he ain't been shit lately. And I mean, I would take Waddle over Higgins for sure, like I'm saying, but when it comes Waddle, like you've said in previous times, you'd take Waddle over Brown and CD.
Yeah,
right?
I would.
I don't know about all that.
I think Jamar is definitely closer to AJ Brown than he is to Justin Jefferson right now. To me, that's like his closest comp. Those two are both Justin Jefferson. I mean, Jamar Chase and AJ Brown both have games where they'll go off, but then they both will give you like 2 or 3 points in a game. They both do that shit.
Not Jamar.
I don't know, man.
He did last year, but he doesn't do it this year.
He was out a lot of games this year. I feel like that's got to count into some.
In the games that he's played, and this is, I think, full PPR. In the games that Jamar has played, the least amount he scored in a week is 10.
That's what I'm saying. 10, 11, 12, 10? 12. I guess he's not AJ Brown, but he's got like 1 games. 1 and a 3. 1.7.
Yeah, AJ Brown, he got a 6, a 1, an 8.
All right.
I don't know.
How about this? How about I'll fix it a little bit? There's a Justin Jefferson tier, then there's a Jamar Chase tier, and then there's the AJ, CD, Jalen Waddle. I cannot put Jamar in that tier with Justin Jefferson. I've seen it with my own eyes too much, man. This dude is way too fucking good. This dude is clearly the best. Quick. I backed out that quick. That quick.
So Jamar is. Well, I'm talking about with AJ Brown and Jamar. That argument, you just backed out that quick.
I mean, you're right. I mean, you're right. Last year he was like that, but it doesn't look like that this year. His low games are at least double digits. AJ Brown's down there getting 1 and 3 games. There's a fact. I know this for a fact. AJ Brown has at least 1 game with like 1.7 or something like that.
Who's more talented?
If we're doing real football, I'm putting Devontae Adams up there with any of them. I'd put Justin Jefferson then Devontae.
Well, I'm talking about dynasty wise. Who's more talented between Brown and Chase?
I don't know, man.
Because CD and Waddle ain't up there with them two as far as physical talent goes.
Definitely not. I think the reason why you like CD and Waddle is just because like they're like PPR, catching the ball on the slide. I think CD's like 23 years old though too, so that kind of helps him out. But I don't know, man. I don't know.
You still got Waddle over Brown. You got Waddle over Brown?
Yeah, I would. Waddle's 24 years old. I mean, I guess Waddle's faded off a little bit, but I don't know.
I'm taking Brown. I'm gonna take Brown and CD over Waddle. That's just me.
I would
CD's closer, but Brown definitely over Waddle.
I would go Waddle, Brown, CD at this point. And I had CD ahead of Brown or whatever before last year. I would have had CD 3. I think Waddle's in the best situation of them all, though. I'm just being honest.
I'm gonna go Brown, CD, then Waddle. I mean, Brown's on one of the best offenses in the league. Like, I mean, but he does go out there, like you said. He may drop you 2 points and not do nothing, but I mean,
The injuries. Yeah. Brown's had more injuries than both of them guys, though.
CD's young. PPR, he's on one of the best offenses in the league. You know, I mean, they're on the offense that puts up a lot of points. PPR guy catches, but Jalen Waddle's the number 2 on his team.
Yeah.
But like we've said, like Tyreek Hill was the other week was number 2, and Jalen Waddle was number 7. And you know, he's getting points, but I'm just gonna take the number 1 guy over the number 2 guy right now.
Well, when we sit down and we break it down, maybe I'll change it up a little bit, but that's definitely my 3 through 5 right there. It's like if I'm doing Justin Jefferson tier 1, Jamar tier 2, then I would go somewhere in that order. I think today I would go Waddle, Brown, CD.
Waddle can't finish number 1. He will never finish number 1.
You don't think so? I don't know, man.
Brown can. CD can't.
I don't think Brown can either, though.
I think Brown could. I think Brown could finish number 1, but I don't think
if
he stays healthy all year, I think Brown could finish.
But see, that's where I'm just way different, y'all. I don't even think Jamar could. Because there's only one guy out there, and his name is Justin Jefferson. He's the only
Cooper
one.
Kupp when he's healthy.
Cooper Kupp's the guy. Cooper Kupp's good. Tyreek Hill's what, 3 right now, I guess? Something like that. I don't know what the rankings are right now.
Shit, Amon-Ra can finish 1.
I would say up until next year. I mean, they're gonna have Williams back and everything.
Amon-Ra or CD, Matt?
I'll take CD.
Okay. What about you, Chris? Definitely CD.
This year I would take Amon-Ra.
I think Amon-Ra's got to take a step back. If you guys want to talk about number 1 and number 2s, I don't know if Amon-Ra is going to be considered the number 1 on his team after next year. This dude Jameson Williams is definitely being brought in to be the number 1 guy in Detroit. They drafted him high, way higher than Amon-Ra and all that. I think Amon-Ra's good. I'd have Amon-Ra real high. But I don't think Detroit's going to view it that way.
I just think fantasy-wise, Amon-Ra is going to be more valuable to have than Jameson Williams.
But you don't think Jameson Williams is going to take off some of that? Got to take off some of that.
Yeah, I've said at the beginning of this year that I didn't think Amon-Ra was going to be as good. I thought we were going to see a fall off this year. Because I was thinking that there was no way in hell. But, I mean, this dude's getting 12, 13 targets a game. Even whenever they're sharing it around. But I've even said Jameson Williams coming back. I think Amon-Ra is going to be the guy they go into their middle of the field. Jameson Williams, whenever they get a little bit closer, whenever they want to burn somebody, is where they're going to go to Jameson Williams. I think it's going to be. We may have one of them great duos, is what it could turn into. It really could. But you know, as good as Jameson Williams was in college, this is the NFL, and I haven't seen him play. I've seen him on play almost 2 seasons now.
They got DJ Moore ranked above Jameson in Dynasty on Fantasy Pros, by the way.
I'm a Carolina fan, and I can tell you that's bullshit.
I thought that shit was a joke.
Can't get on that. Can't get on that one. I see that Amon-Ra. To me, that's kind of appropriate. I mean, I think Amon-Ra's good. I feel like me and all of us 3 might be higher on Amon-Ra than most people. Is what I'm thinking. Because I'd probably put Amon-Ra ahead of somebody like Stephon Diggs, who's 29 years old. I mean, that's kind of old. I mean, but I don't know, man. I just can't wait to see what this offense looks like next year, because it could just open up more for Amon-Ra, because Jared Goff ain't ever been a guy throwing the ball too deep like that. So,
yeah,
I don't know. I would definitely. That's where my tier drops off. As like after that, AJ Brown, CD Waddle. And I'd say that's where my tier drops off. And then that's where I start putting Amon-Ra, T. Higgins.
Do you take Amon-Ra over T. Higgins?
Man, nah, I can't, man. Can't.
I think I would at this point. But T. Higgins definitely right after that. Like,
Yeah, that one's tough though. That is a tough one. I think the reason why Fantasy Pros has Stephon Diggs at 6 is he just signed. He's going to be with Josh Allen for 3 to 4 years. I
yeah.
kind of buy into that though. So I don't know. All that is tough. These wide receivers are tough. I feel like you could flip any of these guys a lot of ways, depending on what tier they're in, and you could just. Because I mean, Tyreek Hill's at 9. It's like, is Tyreek Hill that low? I don't know. I mean, I guess 28
Yeah.
years old.
I don't know, man. This dude might hit 2,000 yards receiving, and they got him number 9. But it's hard when you sit down and look at this stuff, and you start reading all these other names, and you're like, well, fuck, I forgot about him. God damn.
Yep. No doubt about it. All right. Well, shoot, man. That's pretty much that. That was a good one. That little tier 2 right there. I guess. I really want to just talk about the next thing, wide receiver wise, is I want to talk about where do some of these rookies stand. Like this one right here, Fantasy Pros got Garrett Wilson at 11, got Drake London at 14, Chris Olave at 15. Look, me being a Falcons fan already, I disagree with that. I think I would put Chris Olave ahead of Drake London because
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean that one don't really even seem. And I think I'm a little bit. I feel like I'm critical of Falcons players, but I feel like I'm a little bit higher on Drake London than a lot of people. But I would clearly put Chris Olave ahead of Drake London. Probably a few of these guys ahead of Drake London, especially because if we don't go get a quarterback, we're gonna be doing that run heavy offense for years to come. So Drake London shares ain't gonna be that high. But Garrett Wilson, if you're doing rookies right now, and from the tier 2, it goes Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Chris Olave. I think I'd go Garrett. Man, I don't know, man. I don't know if I could just go Garrett Wilson over Chris Olave. I'm just being honest. That one's tough as fuck to me. What do you say, Kraft?
It's Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, and then Drake London's not even close. There's some other guy. I put Jamison Williams over Drake London.
Yeah, I think I would too. What about Treylon Burks or Drake London? I'd probably go Drake London there. That's like my cutoff.
Yeah, I think I'd do London there because Tennessee, you're talking about a run-heavy offense with Atlanta.
Oh, all right, but what about this one? Because I don't see motherfucking Christian Watson. He's down here at 26.
I was just about to say, I would say Christian Watson needs to be up in that tier with them dudes. He does not need to be down there.
I agree with what Chris is saying.
Talking about a dude that scored 8 touchdowns in like a certain amount of games. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, and he's a good player. He definitely needs to be up there. They got him down to tier 4 at 26. He's behind Jameson Williams, and Jameson Williams only played like 17% of snaps for the last 2 games, and he's behind him. And he's played in the NFL. That's what I'm saying. Like, these people are going off the hype of Jameson Williams right now. We're going off what's from college. This dude tore his ACL. He's got to come back from that, too.
That's why, people, if you're out there listening, you need to listen to the Cruise Dynasty podcast, Dynasty Rankings. Because I'm looking at some of this shit, I'm like, holy fuck. Drake London is way too high.
Still put Jameson over Christian Watson, though.
I would see. My thing is that you've seen Jameson. Like, I've seen how good Jameson Williams is, and I don't discredit how good he is. I've seen Christian Watson play in the NFL for a whole season almost now, and Jameson Williams
with the Packers.
But you got uncertainty with Jameson Williams.
Yeah, I feel like if you got to have at least a little bit of uncertainty with Jared Goff being there. I think we're all sold on him. He could be there for 3 or 4 years, but is he going to really be there longer than Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah. And honestly, my Amon-Ra shares for me go down if Jared Goff's gone because another quarterback's going to come in, and not every quarterback has the same taste in receiver. Not everybody wants to just throw it to that guy. A lot of other receivers like throwing it to people like Jameson Williams, whereas some like to come out there and throw them to them small guys like Amon-Ra and let them get the yak, yak it up.
Yeah. I'm going to put it like this. Christian Watson definitely has a higher ceiling. If Amon-Ra stays, he's going to be in Detroit. With Amon-Ra there and Jameson there, if Christian Watson just becomes just a great wide receiver, a great route runner, because he's just relying on just straight up athletic
Speed,
talent,
yeah,
fast as hell. But Jameson played at Alabama. You know, he played against some decent cornerback. I mean, Christian Watson he's relying on just talent right now. But as far as upside goes, Christian Watson got as much upside as any of these guys. But he also probably out of all these rookies probably has the lowest floor too.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at with him. Is like he's been showing out the last 4 games, but you know, with the uncertainty with Green Bay at quarterback and stuff, Christian Watson can still become a bust. He's the only one out of these guys where I'm like, he could bust. You know, I don't think Jameson's gonna bust. Olave, Garrett Wilson, they ain't gonna bust. That's the
Drake
way I look
London,
at it.
if you're a holder of Drake London, for me, you're just waiting to see the offense change. You're just waiting to see what happens. In Atlanta, I'll be honest, you might be waiting a while, so.
You gotta definitely be concerned if you're owners of Drake London and Kyle Pitts. I mean, you gotta be concerned as fuck. I watch the Falcons every week. I don't see no change in the Falcons. I'm just being honest. We're gonna be running the ball for a while. We're not exactly gonna spread it out and throw the ball. I mean,
You know, we're forgetting about these guys too. Jahan Dotson and Sky Moore. You can't discredit them guys either. I mean, Jahan Dotson's probably below all them guys, but Sky Moore coming into next year, depending on what they do with them receivers, if Juju and Mecole is gone, Sky Moore skyrockets, in my opinion.
hey,
Yeah.
guys like that, guys like Sky Moore, I say go ahead and buy low if you can. There's definitely people out there discrediting Sky Moore. I tried to go get him this year, but of course, Chris, Jordan Harris has Sky Moore, and he's like, oh, he's going to be a star. He probably don't even know. So
he
it
could
is
be
what
the
it
next Mecole, though. He could be
Dude,
the
he
next
listened to the podcast and he heard you talking about you were gonna buy low, and he was like, "Oh, I got insider information." Now I know
That's
Matt's gonna
probably
try to
true.
buy it.
And I was offering him only second round picks. I wasn't going to
I
offer him a
tried to get
first.
Sky Moore too from it.
I was
Hey.
like, I'm going to try to get him on the low.
I got one thing to say about Sky Moore, too, though. And even if these guys do leave, say Juju's gone, Mecole's gone, Sky Moore jumps into that role, we have already proven that Patrick Mahomes spreads the ball around. Does it even matter? Does it even matter if he's like the number one guy, like the Juju this year? You know what I mean? It's going to be Kelsey if he's still there. And then he's just going to be spreading it around to whoever's on the field at the time. If Sky Moore's just not some supreme athlete like Tyreek Hill was.
Yeah.
So, something to worry about, too.
Yep, definitely wouldn't pay a price on him. I'll say that. Especially after the year he had. But I just think if you just take a look at the year he had, and then you're like, oh, somebody might have spent a late first round on the guy. Going there for the swoop. Maybe, I don't know. Type deal. But, yeah. All right. Well, shoot. Who y'all want to talk about now from the wide receiver standpoint?
The only ones I want to talk about are these young guys, like not the rookies, but like the second-year players, third-year players. You know, you got like Marquise Brown, Gabe Davis, Brandon Ayuk, Devontae Smith. I want to hear Michael Pittman. These guys.
I want to say something because I want to say
And
something
Debo.
about.
Throw Debo in there. I really want to know what y'all think about Debo, too.
All right. Okay. Well, shit. Who you going to start with? Debo?
Yeah, let's start with Debo right quick.
Listen, my thing about Debo is, and my brother, he's the owner of Debo. And Debo's like his third wide receiver on the team. So if you're like your third guy, I'm holding Debo. Like, I'm definitely not gonna sell him. If Debo's like your number one guy, though, man, I don't know, man. It's tough. I would try to sell him though if I was. I mean, I don't know. It's just like Debo. What do you mean sell him for what?
You can't sell him for none of these guys we just talked about. You can't sell Debo for Garrett Wilson or Olave. I mean,
no. Nah. I'm just thinking draft capital, really. Got to get a first rounder, though. I wouldn't sell him for no second.
I wouldn't sell him for a first, though. It have to be a very early first. I mean, let's just say top half I'd sell him, bottom half I wouldn't sell Debo.
I'd have to look at the draft to know that one. I'd have to break it down to say I'd feel comfortable selling Debo for this and that.
Just
But I
basing it
mean,
on this year, like where the back half of the draft landed. So, like Debo for what could have been Burks, Watson, maybe Jameson. Well, he probably got drafted a little earlier, but Burks, Watson, Sky Moore, guys like that. Would you trade Debo for them guys right now?
I would probably do it for like Watson plus a little
That's what I'm
bit.
saying. That might be what you're looking at next year, like a tier like that.
I don't know. I feel like the outlook on this draft is people think this draft is deep and this draft's
They
got a lot
always
of talent. Not the 22. Everybody was roasting on that one, and when I look back at it, I think it was a decent draft. But when I look at 23 and 24, I'm like, and I ain't even broke it down really, but I'm just like, damn, man, if I could trade Debo and get a couple of these guys,
I got
think
the
I would
101 and 24. The 101.
David better step up. David been getting lucky though. You might have
No.
had that 101.
My whole thing about David is that he can't get no better because he has nobody to trade at this point. His best player is Nick Chubb. He's 26 years old. He's not going to be walking away with like 2 firsts or something, to get his draft. He has no picks. This dude's got like 3 picks over the next 3 years, man.
Well, look, man, my thing on Debo is just hold on Debo. He's only 26 years old, and you're in a dynasty league. You might as well hold. If Debo's just like, this is how I see it with Debo, and this is how I see it with like even guys like CD on my team. Like CD's like my second best receiver. By next year, I want to do my best to try to make him my third best receiver or something like that. If I was Debo, he's my, because like on my brother's team, this is his third best guy is Debo. So it's like, and that's with Christian Watson on your team. So it's like, I'm definitely holding a guy like Debo in most situations. But if you ain't got shit, like you like Chris talk about a team like David, you only got like 1 or 2 assets. If Debo's your only 1 or 2 assets, I'm selling them if I can. But the dude just got hurt, so now you can't really do it. You might as well just hold.
I was in the same position when I didn't have like my team going into the year was fucked. Was absolutely fine. I had Chris Carson starting. And Chris Carson was the starting running back on my the first year. Now I turned Debo Samuel into Christian McCaffrey. I turned Lamar Jackson into Josh Jacobs plus other stuff. And if you can go do that, yeah. But obviously, a frustrated McCaffrey owner that has had to own him and him not play. And then Debo's the one that ends up tearing, getting hurt most of the year and not playing. That's fantasy. That's what happens.
Well, shoot, man. To end this episode off, y'all, I'm just going to give y'all some would you rathers on these receivers in Dynasty. Dynasty perspective. Matt, you can go ahead and go first. And then Chris, would you rather have Rashad Bateman or Brandon Ayuk?
Rashad Bateman.
Rashad Bateman.
Bateman, Gabe Davis.
Bateman.
Bateman. Yeah, I don't want Gabe Davis. I'll be punching holes in walls.
Yeah.
Jahan Dotson or Jerry Jeudy?
I'll take Jahan Dotson.
I'm gonna go with Judy.
Oh, Judy. Sky Moore, Christian Kirk.
That's the toughest one of the night for me because I think that upside is with Sky Moore, but I'm going to say Sky Moore.
I'm gonna roll Christian Kirk in the hopes that Trevor Lawrence is gonna become the quarterback he was scouted to be over this next few years.
Kadarius Toney or a third-round pick?
Man, fuck it, man. At this point, man, I'm just going to say a third-round pick, man. It fucking makes me sick. It's crazy because
I'll just give him to you. How about that? You can just have him so I can fucking get him off the team.
I will say this though, Kraft. I got Kadarius Toney, and like if somebody comes at me with a third-round pick, I feel like with a lot of players, if you just come at me with a third-rounder, I'm probably just gonna hold for the most part because it's like it's a risk anyways. Like The thing is, like, that man of kill was offering me a 24-second, and I was like, I have to have, like, I wasn't buying into the hype, but I was like, I have to have that hype happen.
Here's
I should have sold him.
You should have sold him. Last one. This one's gonna be tough. Calvin Ridley with the uncertainty, or Tyler Lockett.
I think I'm taking Ridley.
Yep. Give me Ridley.
Ooh, I don't know, man.
That
Talking
was
about
tough.
we ain't seen people play in a while.
That is true. I agree with that. The thing is it's like I just been wrong on Tyler Lockett all the way through. Why not just be wrong on him some more? Shit.
Keep it rolling. Keep the train moving.
Oh Lord, man. Oh, look, man. Did you want to hit on a couple tight ends before we just get rid of this episode?
Fuck no. Fuck
all right,
Tyree.
then. Well, there's one thing about it before we get on it. The tier 1 is Mark Andrews, and then Kyle Pitts, and then Travis Kelce. Would you fix that up?
We'll talk. I'm gonna have to do it in my dynasty rankings, man. Pitts is a problem right now for me.
I think Kyle Pitts deserves to be in the Atlanta tier of tiny.
I can't do Pitts right now. I can't
No.
rant about that shit right now.
I'd put him at number 1.
You're a bit. You're disappointed right now.
I can't do it, Matt.
Big time.
Can't
I'd put him at number 1 in the dynasty ranking.
whatever you want to do, bro.
But if I'm in a redraft, I ain't going near that motherfucker. I'm just being honest. So I don't know, man. Tough. All right, then. Well, shit, man. That was a good episode for y'all, man. A little would you rather. Discussed a lot of these dynasty rankings. We went through the quarterbacks, went through the running backs, went through the wide receivers. Said a little something about the tight ends, you know, a little something. We'll just have to break that down though whenever we're ready. But yeah, I guess hell, before we get off, add the podcast, subscribe to our YouTube, 5-star review on the podcast, add the Instagram, add the Twitter. What else am I missing? Join the Discord, for fuck's sake. Join the Discord. Chris, what else we got out there, man? What am I missing?
Yeah, you got all of it. Follow us on Twitch. Yeah, other than that, you got all of it.
Craft, man, you got anything left to say, man? We closing this one out.
Appreciate everybody for listening. Gambling coming up.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, then, man. We out.
Peace.